Welcome, friends, to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. We are so glad you joined us today. We're talking about families. That's right, family reconciliation. We all come from families. We're all born into them. Some are kind of like the Leave It to Beaver families. Some aren't. Some are somewhere in between. We're going to explore all angles of families and the dynamics of families. Does your family get along? Do you fight all the time? Are you not speaking to a loved one? Do you have estranged siblings or parents? We want to hear from you. Number to dial is 1-800-585-9396. I'm Debbie Georgiani, along here with Mr. Jerry Usher, who's in St. Louis right now at the NCDVD convention. Tell us what NCDVD means, Jerry.
Yeah, it's National Conference of Diocesan Vocation Directors. And so about 250 vocation directors from around the country and also from Canada and Ireland and England and Wales and where else. Anyway, they are gathering here. They get supported for the work that they do to recruit men to the priesthood. So I am here. Some of you listening, you may hear a little bit of a buzz in the background. That is some conversations going on in the hallway here around me. But it's just been a great event. It wraps up tonight with the closing banquet. So thank you all for your prayers. But yeah, as Debbie said, we're talking today about kind of fixing your family feud. That title came into my head during the night last night. Fixing your family feud. Maybe you've had an estranged family relationship that you have managed to heal and bring that back into a blessed state. Let us hear from you about that. 1-800-585-9396.
I also think, too, Jerry, sometimes when you come from big families, there's a lot of personalities. Okay, a lot of people are put together in a thing called a family and expected to have peace and harmony and, contentment and joy and all the things that come along with having, a whole bunch of family members together. But it may not always be like that. It may not always look like that. It may not always feel like that. We want to hear from you. Not every family is different. And I love, Jerry, what you just said. You can choose your friends, but you can't pick your family. You're born into your family. This is something that was designed for you, especially for you. And it's a miracle that we come into this world, that we are born into this world, and we are born into a family. And how do we fit into that family? How does it work for us? We want to hear from you. Phone lines are lighting up. This is what's great about Take Two, Jerry. Our listeners call very fast. They know they want to get in at 1-800-585-9396.
As we always say, something that you share on this program, whether it's today or any day, could be life-changing for somebody. And I'll guarantee you right now, there are so many of you listening who are at odds with a family member. It could be, I can't imagine. I've never been married, don't have kids, but I can't imagine a strained relationship with a son or a daughter or siblings. So often, sibling relationships get strained, Debbie, and I can just speak personally. I've got 4 siblings, and I am so blessed that we all just get along. We don't have the same likes and tastes, and when we get together, if it's for a family gathering, a couple days, 2 or 3 days, that's plenty. Then we're all ready to, go our separate ways again, But we love each other, and we're in communication, even though we're spread out all over the country. So I feel blessed in that regard. But Deb, so many people have difficult family relationships, and we want to try to talk through this with some people today.
Well, you are blessed, Jerry. I have the opposite situation. I don't have a super close relationship with some of my family members. And honestly, though, Jerry, I'd love to hear our listeners' take on this. I've talked to many, many priests, also some counselors who have said, sometimes having peace, you can love from a distance. You don't have to, maybe be in a day-to-day relationship if it's going to cause you unrest or even if it's going to cause you to sin. Because, sometimes when you're in relationships that aren't working, they're not there isn't any harmony. There's maybe some arguing or fighting or, just really hurtful feelings on both sides. It doesn't help you grow spiritually. I mean, it's, a lot of times you may walk away from an encounter with a certain family member and have bitter feelings, and that's not good for our spiritual formation as well. So sometimes peace and love from a distance really can go a long way. And I know I've had a lot of counseling on that, and I see that the calls are coming in with similar stories. So we want to hear from you at 1-800-585-9396.
Well, remember that passage. I know it's in Matthew. It might be in some of the other Gospels as well, where it says if you have something against your brother, which of course could mean your sister and any family member, be reconciled first before you bring your gift to the altar. So this is, of course, one of the many ways that this topic today ties in with our faith as Catholic Christians. And that is because, God calls us, like Debbie said, we're born into a family. We don't get to choose the family that we're born into. But we have to do what we can to maintain harmony and unity within that family. It's not always possible, but, Debbie, that scripture I think is so important to at least try to reconcile. And, if we want to and a family member doesn't, well, we've done all that we're called to do anyway. There's not always something we can do about that.
Good point, Jerry. I'm so glad you brought that up because we're getting a lot of emails and a lot of Facebook posts about different stories, a lot of very, very sad and troubling stories of family members who one side, Jerry, just like you said, one side wants to reconcile, one wants to extend that olive branch, one wants to have that peace and harmony, and the other person in that equation doesn't want to. And it causes serious pain and serious strife amongst the whole entire family unit. So, Jerry, I'm glad you brought that up because reconciliation, it truly, in order to be kind of the perfect reconciliation, has to have both parties buy into it. That's why it's so important to have prayer. If you want to reconcile, but if that's not humanly possible right now with that other person because that person chooses not to want to reconcile, then it's a perfect opportunity to pray. Turn it to Mother Mary and ask her to just, hold the relationship and care for the relationship, even though the relationship is from a distance or it's estranged. This is a very deep subject, it can get, each story has different elements. So we're going to ask, too, that if you get on the air and share your story, if you can be very concise, give us the Reader's Digest version so we can really just explore that angle of it. That would help us tremendously. 1-800-585-9396.
All right, and as Debbie said, we welcome your calls. We're going to take a short break right now on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And when we come back, we will start with Monica and then Bridget, and then we've got some other calls that are being screened right now. There is a line open, 1-800-585-9396. You don't have to get detailed. Don't even have to use your real name if you don't want. What we just simply want to do is try and, have a conversation about how maybe you can restore peace to an important relationship between you and a family member.
I kind of blamed the Catholic Church why I didn't get it before, but I was so wrong. I've come to realize that it was through the 12 years of Catholic education that I recognized God when he came into my life. And I want to really encourage EWTN, that you guys make a lot of sense.
EWTN's listener comment line. It's open now. Call 205-795-5773.
Friends, how would you like to come with me and Jerry on a life-changing trip to the Holy Land?
Debbie and I will be joined by our chaplain, Archbishop Samuel Aquila of Denver, numerous priests and seminarians, and lots of faithful lay people.
Steve and Janet Ray will be our guides, December 28th through January 6th. Just imagine spending part of the Christmas season in the very place Jesus, our Savior, was born.
The trip is open to everyone, but time is getting short to register. Log on to vocationboom.com for details. That's vocationboom.com.
We're so glad you stayed with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're talking about family reconciliation today, and the phone lines are lighting up if you want to jump in and share about your family and what works in your family or maybe what doesn't work. Number to dial is 1-800-585-9396. Jerry, when we took that quick break, right before we're going to get to Monica in Pennsylvania, when we took that quick break, Jerry, I loved hearing the Vocation Boom pilgrimage spot. I'm so excited. And even when I was hearing, ourselves record that, and I'm listening to it. I'm thinking, wow, that sounds exciting. And then I just remembered I signed up, so I'm going. And this
Well, it's beautiful. Steve Ray emailed just yesterday and said a family of 6 has inquired and looks like they're going to be going with us. And so we've had probably 20 or 25 signups in the last month, and the bus is getting full. We may have to go to a second bus, but I'll tell you, it's just going to be a fantastic trip. We've got some priests, some seminarians, lots of lay people. So, folks, if you want details on the pilgrimage, it's through my apostolate, Vocation Boom. Debbie is on our board, and so she and I will both be on the trip. We'd love to have you or sponsor a priest or seminarian. Get details at vocationboom.com.
I hope I get on that first bus, Jerry. I want to be on that first bus. Okay.
We'll make sure you're on one of them.
Okay, that sounds good. Monica in Pennsylvania, listening on EWTN online. Hi, Monica. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, Jerry and Debbie. Thank you for taking my call. I'm really honored to speak with you.
Well, the honor's mutual, Monica. Thank you.
You and all of EWTN has made such a difference in my life. I thank you. And
praise
this
God.
topic today is very, it really resonates with me. I've been struggling with this for the last 6.5 years. I have 4 sisters. My very, very favorite sister, who's been such a big influence in my life, she is not speaking to me now since my mother died. And I have a lot of guilt because I played such a part in this breakdown. And like you said, you need the Reader's Digest version, very complex situation, but my sister didn't care much for my mother. And on my mother's deathbed, my sister was really mean. And that's what broke us apart. And I know that I hurt my sister, and I do want to reconcile. She doesn't want to. And any advice I could get from you or the other listeners would be wonderful. I've been to my priests, several priests, and I've been to counseling. And I am praying about it every day.
Mm-hmm. Is that what your priest that you have turned to? That's what they said to do, Monica, is to pray? And did they ask you to reach out to your sister?
Well, they support that if the opportunity comes up, and it has come up, and I have told her that the door is always open. I've sent her cards. Not, I haven't overdone it, but just tried to be gentle with it. Mm-hmm. I have never really said I'm sorry for what I did because I felt that my mother deserved my kind of defending her. Mm-hmm. So I've never said I'm sorry for what I did because I still feel like my sister was wrong in the way she treated my mom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, let me this is not at all, this is just my personal opinion. This is not like, I'm not representing right now the Catholic Church and the Catholic Church's teaching. This is just my personal opinion, just from having a big family myself. A lot of times at a person's family member's deathbed, a lot of personalities change. There's a lot of aftermath of a person passing, a lot of emotions, a lot of, things happening at a very heightened level. And I think you know that. You probably experienced that with your mom's passing. I don't think, it sounds like you have a little bit of maybe you're struggling with some guilt. I don't think there's anything wrong with clarifying that, you felt the need to protect your mom. You felt the need to defend your mom, and maybe your actions, as a result of that, may not have been the best, because obviously it caused a reaction with your sister. But there's nothing wrong with stating exactly what you felt at that time. There's nothing wrong with that. What I would do if it were me, this is just me talking, I would pray that your sister has an open heart to start letting some of those emotions and hurt feelings peel away, so she doesn't have a hardened heart about this, because that's not going to help her, and you said, I think you said that was one of your favorite sisters. And so, but prayer is the best thing in the world to do, because you can't, like we said at the beginning of the show, reconciliation. I mean, no matter how anybody looks at it, you can't force reconciliation. You can't, you may want it. The other person may not want it at all. That's not where they're at. And we get to respect that. So there's sometimes, I know this is going to sound strange, but I got great advice on this. Sometimes in a strange relationship is where God can work very fervently in the midst of that estranged relationship, because there is that time and that space and that peacefulness of having it be separated from the emotion. I don't know if that resonates at all. I know, Jerry, you wanted to jump in, so I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I really, you kind of touched on what I would only add to that is just simply, Monica, just I think you're, this is obviously painful. It sounds like this is something that is hurtful to you. You're sorrowful over it. And I think offering that to the Lord, just say, Lord, there's nothing that I can really do concretely right now in the here and now, maybe to move my sister's heart, but you can. So what I offer you, Lord, simply to bring about this reconciliation is the pain that I'm experiencing over this severed relationship, and maybe that would bring the graces necessary. Does any of that help, Monica?
That's beautiful, beautiful. I never thought to give it up. And I really appreciate both of your advice. I worry that I'm not in God's grace because of what I did and what happened and all. That worries me. I don't want to hurt God.
Yeah, I wouldn't be concerned over that, Monica. Debbie, maybe you have some thoughts here, but again, as Debbie said, how many, probably tens of thousands of families have suffered rifts like this, at the time of the death of a parent especially, but, emotions run high, and something that just was put on my heart, Monica, it may or may not be the case. Again, this is just a kind of a hunch that I got. Maybe your sister was dealing with some unreconciliation or unresolved issues with your mom, and maybe your mom passed before she had a chance to get that taken care of. I don't know. This is just maybe it's a Holy Spirit thing, maybe not. But obviously, with your mother gone, now your sister can't in this life take care of that, so maybe she's just got some unsettled peace in her heart or something over that. So anyway, Monica, be assured of our prayers. Debbie, did you have anything else to tag on?
Jerry, that was excellent. I just wanted to add one more thing. Monica, keep this in mind. It sounds like you've talked to priests. I'm sure they have, given you some consolation and some peace in knowing that, you're doing all you can with praying about your sister's situation, trying to extend that olive branch. But here's one thing I just want to leave you with. Please, please, please don't fall into that trap of feeling like all of a sudden now you're stopping the hose of graces coming down from heaven towards you because of a guilt feeling, because that is a trap, and Satan loves that. He loves for us to feel disconnected from God because, we're not worthy, we did something wrong. So make sure you talk to, like you says, you talk to your priest. Great. Now let it go, because you are in God loves you so very much that it's vitally important that you are receiving those graces. So I hope that helps today, Monica. Have a beautiful and blessed day, and thank you for calling in to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Thank you both so much. I deeply appreciate it. You guys are wonderful.
Thanks. Keep us in your prayers if you would, Monica. 1-800-585-9396. Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're talking about fixing your family feud, if you have one, or if you have managed to experience reconciliation with a family member. You could really inspire a lot of folks on the show today. Bridget is next in Rochester, New York, listening on the Station of the Cross. Hello, Bridget. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi. How are you guys today?
Good.
Pretty well,
How
thank
are
you. Appreciate the call.
I'm good. Well, most of the reason why I'm calling is it has to do with my relationship with my sister. We're not quite estranged, but we haven't really spoken more than 5 times in the last 3 years. And usually when something important happens. I've always extended myself, tried to be a good friend to her, and reached out to her. I invite her every year to our holiday events and all this stuff. She does not, for some reason, like my husband, I guess. I know, Reader's Digest version, I'm sorry. But her and I have always had kind of a strenuous relationship ever since we were kids. And it's gotten to a point where I miss her a lot. And I feel like there's more I should be doing, although I always feel like when I do extend myself too much, I definitely feel the repercussions of that. And so I always feel a need to recoil. I reach out to her and try and spend time with her or something, and she's my older sister, and she always will act like it. But, she's a good person. She's fallen away from the church and everything, which I think that's part of what's going on between us. But I don't know how much I should reach out and how much is just let it go, you know?
Right, right. Well, Bridget, let me just share this with you. This was told to me by a dear priest that I went to because like I said, I mean, there's no big secret. I come from a big family. I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and we have a lot of personalities in the family, and the dynamics are very interesting. I have to tell you, we could probably write a screenplay on our family. So I totally can relate, absolutely can relate. And this was what a priest told me one time, and I have valued it tremendously. So I will impart it to you. And that is that he said to me, Debbie, if you have a family member that when you are with them, there's just, you're either going to get hurt or, something happens or it starts another, bitter feelings or another argument or whatever, take that person in small doses. You don't have to be buddy hanging out every day with your sibling. You don't have to. I mean, you don't, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're still a Christian. You're still doing God's work, but you can handle it in small doses. And if you can do that, Bridget, then that's what I would share with you. That was told to me, and it has helped me tremendously. Now, if you're entering into a situation where you are walking into the lion's den every single time you're with that sibling, well, then there is a serious, you don't have that compatible, relationship. There is a situation there, and it was also told to me by a sister, a nun. She said to me, if that's the case, don't put yourself in that situation. Because all it's going to do is make you bitter or angry or frustrated, or you may walk away having horrible feelings, and and I love this. I've heard this so many times used in life skills. If that person will steal your joy, rob you of your joy, you're giving away your power of joy, and God doesn't want you to do that. He wants you to stay in joy. Jerry?
No, I would love to hear, if Bridget, if you have any thoughts on that first, because there's really not much I can add to that advice. Bridget, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I guess I'll continue to reach out and do it in small doses. Like you said, I can't take her in large doses. She does sometimes steal my joy, so I will make sure I continue my efforts. I guess.
Right.
Doing
And
the right
prayer.
thing.
And prayer. Lots of prayer. Yep. Absolutely. Amen to that. Sounds like a good recipe, I think.
Thank you.
All right,
And
Bridget,
I
thank you.
want to share one little thing.
Sure.
I had a relationship with, my father was very abusive to me. And I did have a relationship with him for a long time after the abuse had, well, I guess kind of after the abuse had stopped, although abuse never really stops, if that makes much sense. But I did make the very difficult decision to cut him out of my life, and that included with my children and everything else. And that was probably one of the hardest decisions in my life to make, because he was so loved by my children. But I have maintained that, and it has been one of the best moves in my life. So just some reassurance for somebody listening that if that's a decision you have to make, that it can be worth it.
Yeah, Bridget, and this is something, too, we could do not only a whole show on, probably a whole series of shows, and that is, I know people actually in my life, good friends, professional colleagues and so forth, who have difficulty with parents, and then when they get married and they start to have kids, then, the parents treat the kids a certain way, or they still treat, the grandparents treat, the parents of the grandkids, like they always have, abusively, and you didn't, elaborate on that, and we don't want you to, but there comes a time when you have to, protect your own family, especially the kids and their innocence and so forth, and it's really, really delicate. It sounds like you've made the right decision in that regard, Bridget, and so thank you for calling, Bridget. We're going to keep you in our prayers and certainly pray for this situation, both with your father and with your sister. So, Bridget, thank you for calling. We appreciate it.
Yep, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Yep. Debbie and I are going to get to Dennis in New Jersey next. Dennis, please stay on the line. We just have a hard break here we've got to take, but your call is going to be very, very important, and we want to discuss your situation with you. And we've got Michelle and Christina and open phone lines, Debbie, for people to join us on this topic about fixing your family feud. 1-800-585 9396. And Debbie, it looks like on social media we got some stuff we can share too a little bit later in the program.
Oh, yeah, a lot coming in, a lot of takes, a lot of different angles on family reconciliation. That's what we're talking about today, family dynamics. Tell us about your family. We'd like to explore it, maybe learn and grow, maybe reconcile with some of our family members. Who knows? We can explore everything. Stay with us. We're going to take a quick break. We're coming back in just a minute to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
I begin every day asking God for help. I ask the Holy Spirit to show me the way. As journalists, we have a responsibility. As Catholic journalists, we have an even greater one. That's why I do this, because it's so much more than just news, sports, and weather. It's Christ-centered conversation.
Morning Glory with Brian Patrick. Weekdays at 7 a.m. Eastern. Streaming online and heard worldwide on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Think of all the media our young people are exposed to today. MTV, movies, what passes for entertainment on TV, song lyrics that are questionable or worse. Where do they hear the message that it's okay to be chaste and modest, or that it's not crazy to practice their faith, or to believe in a God who loves them and can forgive them no matter what they do? Catholic Radio is the answer. Be sure to tell your friends and relatives about the positive programming that you hear here on Catholic Radio.
Get an insider's look at the latest information from EWTN. Sign up for Wings, EWTN's weekly email newsletter. Get the latest information about live events, special features, and guests. Connect with EWTN on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Just go to EWTN.com and click on the Wings link to sign up. Don't miss a minute of all that's happening at EWTN. Get your wings today.
Hi, this is Joan Lewis. In my work here at the Vatican, I'm blessed to speak with all kinds of people every day, from visitors to Rome, to Vatican officials, even to the Pope. And every week on our EWTN program, Vatican Insider, I'll share their stories with you. We'll bring you the latest news from Rome. We'll talk with Vatican leaders and newsmakers, and we'll answer your questions. So don't miss Vatican Insider this weekend, right here on the EWTN Radio Network. For times in your area, go to EWTN.com and click on Radio.
Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN, and your takes drive the show. Love to hear from you. And today we're talking about, again, how we all, really, I don't think there's anybody who's ever lived who hasn't had some kind of a strained relationship with a family member at some point. And we're just trying to, help each other, encourage each other here in our discussion today in trying to kind of bring things back together. And we're going to go to Dennis in New Jersey next for calling. Dennis, thank you for calling Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and thanks for your patience waiting through the break. Hello, Dennis.
Hi.
Hello there.
Hello?
Thanks for calling. Yes, we're here. Go ahead.
I explained to the intake caller, 7 weeks ago, I would have thought that my wife and 3 children and I had, a very good, open relationship, and our problems, minimal. Surface stuff, and 2 teenagers and an adolescent, and we were practicing Catholics. All my kids go to Catholic school, and we try to set a good example. And my eldest took his life 6 weeks ago, and we never seen it coming. Nobody did. It wasn't just me and my family that missed it. None of the people he was involved with at school, many service commitments, many just youth organizations, sports, and I'm lost. Quite frankly, I'm lost. I said to the person who took the call that I'm still going, and I'm still praying, and I'm still rededicating my life, probably harder to Christ and the church. But I feel like I was given a raw deal. Like we were why did this happen to us? What was the message here? And I did have a bad day with him the day it happened, but I was just trying to be a parent, and I feel like nothing's worth anything anymore. That's quite frankly what I feel. And like I said, I'm lost, and my family's kind of floating right now too.
Yeah. And Dennis, first of all, Debbie, I know would join me in offering the deepest possible condolences. We're going to pray for your son. God certainly understands the place that he was in at that time. I'm sure there are a lot of thoughts going through your mind, being a faithful Catholic, knowing what the Church teaches about suicide and so forth. But of course, in recent decades, with advances in the understanding of psychology and so forth, the Church has really, I think, taken a fresh new, look at that and how, different circumstances can, mitigate any guilt that might have been there on the part of the person who commits that act. But so please receive our condolences, and I really want to encourage you to. You said you're still, trying to go even deeper in your faith, and that's a good sign. Because this could often lead somebody to just say, okay, Lord, why would you let this happen? If you're a God who lets something like this happen, you're not a God that I want to worship. So, we would encourage you to remain strong there as well. And, there are a lot of things going on with young people today. I think we're seeing an increase in this. There is a resource I want to bring to your attention. Actually, it's the son of a former co-worker of mine who I worked with at Catholic Answers. His son is named Luke Maxwell, and he attempted suicide. He actually took the family's van and at 60 miles an hour drove head-on into another vehicle, and unbelievably, neither of them was really hurt that bad. But he started a ministry to help prevent, of course, in the first place, suicides of young people. But if that does happen, there are resources and tools on there for families such as yours. And so I want to give you that website. You can write this down, and I want to give Debbie a chance to weigh in here as well. It's youcan'tbeerased.com. It's the letter U. Youcan'tbeerased.com. It's quite an incredible story. But Debbie, I know you've probably got some things on your heart that you want to share with Dennis.
Well, yes, actually, Dennis, I've been a youth minister for many, many years, and I've worked with families who have had tragedies like your own. And I loved, the part that I loved what you said is that how you are still holding on to your faith and reaching deep into your faith. And I would encourage you as the head of your household to bring your family together with you in that deep prayer that you are having together. The other thing that I used to always share with families, and Dennis, if you feel comfortable sharing your son's first name, we would love to just hold him up in prayer if you feel comfortable. If you don't, that's quite all right, but we would love to hold him up in prayer. But also, Dennis, a lot of Catholic churches have grief support and counseling right on site at churches. You can bring your family together. The worst thing that can happen through all of this is that your family gets torn apart, or like Jerry said, there's this anger towards God. That's the worst thing. Stay in the. I know it's extremely hard because right now, Dennis, you're in the middle of this. You are in the middle of the feelings that you're trying to sort out. There's probably blame feelings and guilt feelings and all the gamut of emotions you're going through on a daily, moment-to-moment basis. That's why you need the family together as a unit. You guys need support, and reach out to the church. I'm sure you're in New Jersey, so I know that there are many, many churches on every corner. I'm talking Catholic churches. Find a Catholic church that has a grief support group, and even reach out to a parish and ask for help with your family. Does that? I mean, I'd love to hear your comments on that.
We're doing some grief support.
Good.
But it's like one long day.
Right.
And there's parts of the day where it's dark, and there's parts of the day, and that's the nighttime, and there's parts of the day where it's light out. And I'm just filled with negative emotions. The best emotion I get all day is sadness. The other one's a grief, remorse, guilt, shame, horror, and I really feel this was unfair, and I think it's not only unfair to me. I think it's unfair to the world. My son was a truly great person, and I understand about how the Catholic Church views it differently now, and there was probably an issue going on, and my son might have definitely experienced deep depression, especially the last few weeks of his life. But I still feel that why couldn't God or somebody just put the words in his mouth that what he was feeling? Why not say something? And we would have addressed it, because that's who we are. That's the family we are. We wouldn't have shrugged it. We wouldn't have said it was just teenage feelings. We wouldn't have done that. But he didn't even have that opportunity. And so I feel terribly cheated here. And I'm heartbroken.
Dennis, I want to add a couple of other things here. I actually have battled some depression myself. I have friends and colleagues who have battled severe depression, and I can tell you that there's a stigma. I mean, it's becoming something that's more talked about right now, but there's absolutely a stigma to this, to where if you mention it or if you talk about it, you think that people are going to look at you as you're damaged, you're broken, you're wounded, you're weird. There's something wrong with you, and there is something wrong. I mean, you're going through depression, but the thing is, it's not something that a lot of people are very comfortable sharing openly, and I think young people especially, because I'm sure your son, he didn't understand, he couldn't make sense of what was going on. He was probably constantly asking the question, why am I feeling this way? Why do I have these thoughts toward suicide and ending my life? And if I tell somebody, then again, they're just going to look at me differently, and I'll be sort of an outcast and no longer the same part of the family. So like I say, I can speak from at least some of my own personal experience, but from what I've heard from other people as well. So I'm sure that was a factor in the fact that your son probably didn't say anything at all about this. You said you were surprised by this. And the other thing I would just add is tell God how you feel, Dennis. Mm-hmm. God can take it, and I would say tell him exactly in whatever words you want to use. You're at a place right now where you don't need to, be nice to God. And God can take it. And I'm not advocating, telling God off or swearing or anything, but you know what? You just have to roll up your sleeves and say, God, this isn't fair, and I don't like this. God, I don't like this one little bit, and look what it's doing to my family. And we didn't see this coming, and how could you let this happen? And really get that stuff out, because, all of my life I've just, one of my friends, and I know I'm rambling on here, but I have a good friend who said, Jerry, you've got this candy shell, and I always had that candy shell, and I always felt like, I can't really be honest and real. And a few years ago, I went through some stuff that I just got very real with God, and I told him I wasn't happy about some stuff, and I think it was at that point that I was then able to kind of receive his grace and his healing. Mm-hmm. So forgive me for rambling on, but I just wanted to share those thoughts as well. So Dennis, Debbie, I don't know if either of you have anything else. But.
Well, no, Dennis, and before you hang up, if you can let the call screener know your son's first name, that's great. If you don't want to say it on the air, we just want to pray for him by name. I feel strongly about that. But Dennis, if you feel close to your pastor, you said your children go to Catholic school, please open up to your pastor. Please, if you're feeling these feelings, your family members are as well. They're feeling the same feelings. So you're not alone in that. And you guys together as a unit, your family unit, please talk to your parish priest or somebody in the church you feel close to. Don't allow yourself to feel these emotions on a moment-to-moment every day alone, because they will fester and harbor, and it's hard to make sense of them. You're right in the middle of the pain and the grief, Dennis. Give yourself time with that and talk to people. Please do that for us.
Okay.
Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah,
God bless
and be
you.
assured of our prayers, Dennis. Thank you for the courage it took to make this call today. And Catholic radio listeners, Debbie will echo this, are fantastic. I'm sure long before this moment, early in this call, I know that they were praying for Dennis and his family and for his son. So thank you all for your prayers. We are very grateful for that. We're going to skip the break here because we got a lot of calls to get to. Our conversation today is about fixing your family feud. If you've got things going on with family members, unreconciliation, or maybe you've achieved reconciliation and you want to inspire others with that, 1-800-585-9396.
Okay, Michelle in New Iberia, Louisiana, gets the award today for patience. My goodness, Michelle, you've been waiting probably the entire show. Welcome. Welcome to Take Two.
Well, thank you. Thank you for taking my call. And I was praying that I wouldn't have to follow Dennis because nothing I can say, everything pales in comparison to the pain he's suffering right now. My heart is breaking for him. It really is. And I've not experienced this, so I'm feeling very emotional about it. I have a young daughter, a teenager, and I worry about these things about her. So please, if he's still listening, I want to reassure him that I will be saying my rosary every day for him and his family and his son.
Thank you, Michelle. I know that's helpful for them.
Of course. The thing that I was calling about was your initial verse that you recited, and thinking about, and I can't remember now what it was, but I was thinking about in my own family. I come from a large family, and there is one who always, from time to time, seems to be at odds with the rest of us. And the way I've come to deal with that situation, first of all, is that is going to Corinthians. Love is patient, love is kind. That doesn't apply just in marriages, it applies everywhere. And I've used that tool to have forgiveness. And I'm not perfect, so she's got things that she needs to forgive me for as well. But my bottom line is that I have found that over time, there are some things that are just not solvable. For whatever reasons, we can't communicate exactly what we mean to each other, for whatever the situation, whatever disagreement comes up. So I've just learned, I'm learning, just be quiet. And reconciliation is still possible, but I just can't, it won't be solved. Not in this world, not in this lifetime. So that was my comment.
Well, and Michelle, I think the way you are approaching it is really beautiful. You're at peace with it because you're patient and you're kind, just like the scripture verse says, and you're letting it just kind of organically unfold, however it's going to be. You can't force compatibility. That's what I've often said this. There was one time a priest gave a homily about forgiving family members, and he gave this homily, and I know his family. He has a small family, and they're very close, very tight-knit family. And he gave this, homily about forgiveness. And I went up to him afterwards. I said, Father, really? I said, really? I mean, that works in your family. That's perfect. It doesn't work in my family. We have 6 of us, and it's not going to work like that. And he kind of listened, and he goes, you're right, because he's coming from one perspective of his family working all the time. Well, when you have other personalities that you have to work with, they may not be compatible, but maybe just to handle it in peace and harmony like you're doing, Michelle, and just letting it unfold naturally and not forcing it. And maybe if it's not going to work in this lifetime, this lifetime is very quick. We talked about it at an earlier show. St. Teresa of Avila said this life is like one night in a inconvenient hotel. That's how quick it is to God. So maybe it's not meant to fully, be reconciled the Leave It to Beaver way. Maybe it can just be peaceful, and that's a form of reconciliation. So I like what you shared, Michelle. I think it's going to bring another angle to this whole discussion.
And prayers for everybody, because there's a lot of pain out there for sure.
Absolutely.
That's right. Thank you, Michelle, for calling Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're going to go next to Christina in Indianapolis. Thank you, Christina, for calling the program. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. How are you, Jerry and Debbie?
great.
Just
Thank
great.
you.
Better now that you've called.
Okay. Well, my situation is my mom wears these rosy-colored glasses, and she never wants to take them off. And there's 4 siblings. 2 of us are still practicing Catholic, 2 are not. I pray for my 2 non-practicing siblings every day that they will be back to the church. But my youngest sister is the kind of person that's not happy and content in her life. She won't admit that. But she has to belittle everybody else around her to make herself feel good. And so when you get together for Christmas or Thanksgiving, there's always drama. She acts like she's 10 or 12 years old. And it makes me not want to go because I can't, for my mom's sake, pretend it's all happy and that we'll leave it to Beaver because that's not genuine and true. So I'd rather just avoid the whole family dynamic and stay home on those days. And I'm much more content staying home and being all by myself. So is that normal or not? Or what do you think?
Okay, so Christina, let me just get this straight. So when you go, your mom, you're saying your mom is very idealistic, and but your sister is kind of sarcastic and negative and bringing down the whole day, and so you're actually. Go ahead.
Yeah. My mom, she just wants everybody to get along,
right,
be happy, and be this perfect family. And it's like, Mom, we're not. You know?
Exactly. Okay, so first of all, a couple quick questions. Is your dad still living?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Okay, and how does he respond?
He wants my mom to be happy.
Right.
But his feelings are kind of more on the realistic side, like me and 3 of my siblings, of where, okay, it's not always working, and we can't pretend what we're not. But he goes along with what my mom's wishes are to please my mom, which that makes him a very good husband.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so here I'm going to give you another advice. See, I worked in the Catholic Church for 25 years, so you're getting all the great advice I used to get from priests on a daily basis because I used to go to them all the time and say, "Father, help me, help me." Okay, so here's another advice I got from a priest that I worked with at the parish level. Christina, you want to make your parents happy. That's obvious, and yet your sister is dragging down the events. That's obvious according to what you're saying. Again, small doses. There's no reason why you can't pop in on these family events with a smile on your face, kiss mom and dad, have a couple, maybe a couple bites of appetizers, have a little bit of how's the weather conversation and say, oops, I gotta run. Hi, bye everybody, kiss everybody, and goodbye. Small doses, because what happens is, and this is what this priest told me, and he's so right, and I've used it to this day, is that the longer you stay, Christina, the more the kind of volcano starts to brew. It happens because people will start to reveal their normal personalities the longer you're with them. So you can do it in small doses and have the best of both worlds. You're probably never gonna change your mom's feelings. Your mom has that. That's what she wants, how she wants to view her family. And you know what? She's your mom. She obviously has that right to feel that way. You're not going to convince mom how to feel a certain way. And I maybe you can, but most of the time, if you're a mom, as a mom, we want to see the way we want to see our children. Nobody's going to convince us. I've had people all the time tell me things about my own children, and that's not how I see it in my brain, in my being. So I don't know if that helps, but just remember small doses. Does that work?
Sometimes people are looking at you like you're leaving already. I'm like, yeah, I've got things to do, or I've got to get ready for work tomorrow, or I've got to prepare something, or whatever, and so yeah. It's just, small doses are probably the best thing, and to bite my tongue, I guess, is one of the others. So,
yeah, but you know what? And offer it up. Just think about this. The longer you stay patient and kind, you're just going to get brownie points in heaven for it. You got to look at it like that.
Okay, we will do that. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Christina.
Thanks,
God bless
Christina.
You.
We've got about 2 minutes. We're going to get to Ann in Flagstaff, Arizona, listening on Sirius XM 130. Hello, Ann. Our time is short, but we wanted to get you on the air, so try to be brief, and we'll see what we can do for you. How are you?
Thanks. Hi.
Good.
Yes, I'm calling. I have a very large family, and when my mom got sick, some of the members of the family who are kind of on the more controlling type side, they started wanting to control things, and yet they were never really involved. And I'm talking that they became very accusatory of us stealing my mom's money and things like that. And none of that is accurate, but it's caused such is the word schism in my family? Schism. And,
schism, yeah.
Yes. And my mother is very elderly now, and a lot of it had to do with I see that my father kind of compared us all to each other and who was better and that kind of stuff, or who was doing better, that. And so that last call was really helpful, but we have members that have cut us completely off, 5 of us off, and we're just really fearful about at the funeral because they can be, there's going to be some kind of brawl. Not that my mother is right on her deathbed yet, but she's.
Well,
fragile.
we got a couple minutes left here, and
Okay.
forgive me for jumping in there, Deb. Do you? You're kind of nodding like you have something to share there, Deb.
Well, Ann, you're not alone. I can tell you that. Lots of families go through this, especially when a family member falls ill or passes. The best thing to do, and this again is advice that I've gotten from priests, take the high road, do the right thing. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to be in a corner and on the receiving end of an assault or an accusatory statements. It's not worth it. Rise above it. You got to keep that high road. But again, you're not alone. One of my lawyer friends said that he said almost every single time he hears about a family member passing in a big family, there's usually a fight. So you're not alone. And it's unfortunate. Money, unresolved feelings with parents, large families. You put that recipe all together, and a lot of times it can be a disaster. So, pray, take the high road, and don't put yourself in situations where you have to, defend yourself and feel like, you're being attacked. Because especially when your family member passes away, at whenever time God calls them home, you're going to be going through grief. So your emotions are going to be flying high, and you don't want that either. So I don't know if that helps, but Jerry, I know you wanted to jump in.
Well, I just wanted to jump in because we have 1 minute left in the program, and I hope that is some help to you. I wish we had more time to spend with you. Obviously, we took a lot of time with Dennis in New Jersey. Dennis, our hearts really, as one of the follow-up callers said, her heart was breaking. Ours are too, Dennis. If you're still listening, you got a lot of support around you. You got the angels. You got the saints. As Debbie said, bring your family together in prayer, kind of huddle together. And try and stay strong right now. And you got all of our prayers as well. And Debbie, my takeaway is family is imperfect, but we get the heavenly family to look forward to, right?
That's true. And you don't get to choose your family, but, you can pray for your family and just know that God is watching all. And tomorrow we're going to talk about Pope Francis. You don't want to miss it on Take Two. But until then, have a beautiful and blessed day.